Current seismic activity in Turkey is causing widespread concern across not just the nation, but all of Europe. At this moment, as you listen to this, the earth beneath one of the most densely populated areas is trembling violently. This is not simply minor quivering. Rather, it's a series of significant shocks intensifying the region's distress. Recently, a magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck northwestern Turkey, with its epicenter in the city of Sinrgî in Belokisır Province, at a depth of approximately 10 kilometers. While such tremors might seem routine in a seismically active zone, recent events have alarmed scientists more than usual. The tremors recurred twice, registering 4 to 6 points on the scale, and this alarm isn't subsiding. Within just 13 hours, experts recorded over 330 aftershocks. The Earth's restless state refuses to calm. The seismic waves were felt hundreds of kilometers away, affecting Istanbul, Bursa, Izmir, and other major urban centers, where millions experienced the ground shaking beneath their feet. As a result, 3 buildings were completely destroyed, and dozens more sustained severe damage. Many homes developed deep cracks, as if some invisible force had clawed through them from top to bottom. A vivid sign of intense seismic strain. What makes this situation truly troubling is that these shocks are not isolated incidents. Seismic activity in this region has been ongoing for several months. The initial powerful quake with a magnitude around 6 occurred on August 10th, and since then the Earth continues to shake incessantly. A local earthquake research scientist examined the data and revealed unsettling insights. Over 12,000 tremors have been recorded since then, and the number keeps rising daily. He drew a comparison to the Aegean Sea earthquake earlier this year, which was intense but rapidly concluded. In contrast, the current activity persists, signaling a worrying trend. The key question now is why this specific area has become a hotspot for relentless seismic activity, and what catastrophe might be looming. Why is the scientist who predicted Turkey's 2023 earthquake also raising alerts for Europe? And how could a single fault line in Turkey potentially spark an energy crisis across the European Union? The answer begins with the unique geological setting of Balakisır, a northwestern Turkish province where recent tremors have been most intense. Beneath it lies a critical collision zone between 2 massive tectonic plates, the African plate and the Eurasian plate. This region is especially dangerous because the African plate is pushing northwestward toward the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean, creating intense pressure. Furthermore, the fault line coincides with the South Gaian volcanic arc, which resulted from the collision between the African and Eurasian plates itself. In essence, 3 colossal forces are converging here, each pulling the Earth in different directions, amplifying seismic risks. Seismologist Shakru Ersoy has gone even further, proposing an even more alarming hypothesis that underscores the potential for a catastrophe of regional or perhaps even continental proportions. Given that the epicenters of previous earthquakes did not align with the main North Anatolian fault line, some scientists suggest they might stem from volcanic activity, though that is a different story altogether. Such seismic events can occur hundreds or even thousands of times, sometimes persisting for months. While individual tremors rarely exceed a magnitude of 7, the cumulative impact of countless minor quakes can cause major damage over time. Turning to expert opinions, Russian seismologist Alexander Zhigalin made a startling comparison. likening the current seismic activity in Turkey to the destructive Fukushima earthquake of March 2011. He explains that there are brief tremors, which quickly release built-up tension, and then there are those that refuse to cease, maintaining a state of ongoing instability. Right now, Turkey is experiencing this latter situation, with significant shifts in its tectonic plates, which are unlikely to stabilize soon. Jagalin notes that after the Fukushima disaster, tremors persisted until November, spanning 8 months. Based on his forecast, the risk of further earthquakes in Turkey could last at least a month and a half, possibly longer. He emphasizes a crucial point. The underlying tension causing the initial quake remains unresolved. Turkey's seismic zone is particularly complex, with multiple tectonic plates converging and moving along separate trajectories, prolonging the seismic unrest. Switching focus, it's worth mentioning that in an unstable economic climate, many prefer to delay major purchases. However, sometimes investing in essential items amid rising prices, outpacing inflation, can be financially justified. Many realize that delaying such purchases often results in higher costs later, making now the optimal moment. For example, if you're considering buying a car, it's best to act quickly and wisely. One efficient way is to visit hotspot.ru, where current prices and discounts offered by official dealers are clearly displayed. This platform eliminates the need to visit car dealerships physically. It provides detailed information about purchasing options, whether through credit or cash, and sometimes even offers discounts. Cars flagged with a red frame are available for online purchase, akin to buying from a marketplace, after which you can simply pick up the vehicle from the nearest dealer without any unwanted extras. Buying online can lead to substantial savings, sometimes amounting to as much as 690,000 rubles. Since choosing the right vehicle can take time, I recommend downloading the avitospot.ru app, which allows you to monitor listings conveniently on your phone. When you find an appealing offer, you can quickly leave a request in a couple of taps and arrange a personal inspection. To make the process even easier, I've left a link in the description for easy access. There's no need for thanks. On the night of November 10th, 2 strong earthquakes struck the same region of Balakisır in quick succession. The first registered a magnitude of about 4.5, followed by another around the same strength the next morning. Both tremors had the same epicenter, and afterward, aftershocks of up to 4 points on the scale continued to ripple through the area. Local authorities advised residents to remain cautious, yet behind these seemingly cautious warnings lies a stark reality. The precise timing of the next quake remains uncertain. The year 2025 started with a series of significant seismic events, and signs indicate that seismic activity across Turkey is intensifying. Eyewitness footage from Istanbul captures the raw power of these tremors. A sprawling metropolis with over 15 million inhabitants, situated mere kilometers from an active segment of the North Anatolian Fault. The potential destruction if a severe quake hits Istanbul is almost unimaginable, underscoring the enormous risk faced by such a densely populated city. Seismologists warn that the probability of another sizable earthquake occurring in Turkey within the next month is extremely high. The Earth's internal stresses are not easing. Instead, they are being redistributed, keeping seismic activity at a fever pitch. Historically, along the North Anatolian Fault, earthquakes over 7 in magnitude have struck 7 times since 1939, starting with the tragic Erzincan quake. An interesting pattern emerges. Each subsequent event has shifted further westward. This is no coincidence, but a recognized seismic trend, confirmed by scientists who meticulously analyze stress redistribution after each quake. Their predictions proved accurate in 1999 when they forewarned of the Izmir earthquake. Now, experts forecast that the next major shock will occur even farther west, potentially impacting Istanbul or its vicinity. Such a quake could have repercussions that extend across Europe, potentially triggering widespread upheaval. Amid these warnings, a controversial figure surfaces: Dutch scientist Frank Huberbits, known for predicting the devastating Turkish earthquake of February 2023. His forecasts were initially dismissed by many as unfounded, until Catastrophic proved him right. Now, Huberbits issues a sobering new prediction. A powerful earthquake may soon strike somewhere in Europe, endangering Greece, Turkey, and perhaps Italy. He simplifies the complex geology. The region lies at the intersection of several tectonic plates. To the north, the massive and relatively stable Eurasian plate; to the south, the active African plate drifting northward; and in the southeast, the shifting Arabian plate. Between them are the Anatolian plate and the Aegean Sea plate, situated between Turkey and Greece. Currently, the Arabian plate is moving northeastward toward the Anatolian plate, creating further tension. All these factors combine to make seismic activity in the region unpredictable, with risks not only for Turkey but also for all of Europe. 2 years ago, we witnessed the devastating impact of seismic activity when catastrophic earthquakes struck Turkey. Yet, the situation hasn't subsided. Instead, seismic activity continues to intensify. Currently, the Aegean Sea and its neighboring regions are experiencing heightened unrest. Seismologist Huberbits analyzed seismic patterns over the past century and identified zones that pose real dangers in the near future. His forecast indicates that Turkey is still at risk of strong quakes, which is well understood, but he also warns of potential tremors in Greece and Italy. Notably, a more powerful earthquake could occur soon, and intriguingly, Huberbits does not exclude the possibility that the next significant shock might not originate from the Aegean Sea plate as many expect, but rather from southern Italy, with the potential for catastrophic damage. Italy's risk is heightened because it hasn't experienced a major quake in a long time, allowing tectonic stresses to build up undisturbed. Additionally, recent atmospheric anomalies observed between Turkey and Greece, such as unusual shifts in temperature, humidity, and electromagnetic activity, have been linked to sharp increases in seismic activity in that region. Presently, Greece is experiencing frequent tremors, roughly every 10 minutes, prompting Greek seismologists to warn that more intense earthquakes are possible and urging residents to stay vigilant. The country's prime minister acknowledged that Greece might face significant geological disturbances in the future, with the current frequency of tremors possibly foreshadowing a major earthquake or even a tsunami. Broader regional risks also come into focus when considering Turkey's position. Known for its high seismicity, Turkey's most active fault line is the North Anatolian Fault, a vast rift extending over 1,200 kilometers from the Sea of Marmara to eastern Turkey's mountains. Imagine a colossal scar across the Earth, where the crust gradually shifts along this fault line. The boundary between the moving westernward Anatolian plate and the relatively stationary Eurasian plate. Over the past century, a series of powerful earthquakes has repeatedly struck along this fault, progressively shifting westward toward densely populated areas, including Istanbul. The earthquake in southeastern Turkey in February of 2023 was among the strongest in Turkish history, Yet seismologists warn this doesn't mark the end of the danger. The energy previously released has simply redistributed across adjoining fault zones, such as the Sea of Marmara and the Aegean. Geophysical studies estimate that a substantial amount of tectonic tension remains stored in these regions, potentially leading to significant quakes in the coming years or sooner. Recent forecasts suggest the likelihood of another significant earthquake, with potential impacts far beyond Turkey's borders, extending into neighboring regions of Europe. If a powerful tremor strikes the Sea of Marmara or northwestern Turkey, Istanbul would stand as the primary city at risk. However, the repercussions could ripple outward, reaching Bulgaria, Greece, Romania, and even southern Italy. Depending on the depth and direction of seismic waves, destructive vibrations could shake the entire Balkan Peninsula. History has shown similar events in the past, but today's densely populated coasts mean the consequences would be far more devastating. Such seismic activity threatens not only physical destruction, but also vital infrastructure, including transportation routes, energy hubs, and underwater communication links connecting Turkey to the Balkans. For example, a strong quake in the Sea of Marmara might damage oil and gas terminals or ports crucial for energy supplies to southern Europe. Power grids, especially those reliant on underwater cables and pipelines in the Aegean, could also suffer serious harm. Moreover, seismic disturbances in Turkey could disturb the tectonic stability of the eastern Mediterranean. The Natalian plates movements exert pressure both northward and westward toward Greece. As a result, heightened activity in Turkey often coincides with increased seismic activity around the Aegean Sea and Greek islands such as Rhodes, Crete, and Santorini. Notably, Santorini is a remnant of a colossal volcano that erupted long ago, devastating the Minoan civilization, and remains geologically active today. A major quake in Turkey might trigger a chain of geophysical reactions, affecting the entire continent of Europe. Changes in underground hydrothermal systems could influence the seismic stability of the Balkans, where numerous small yet active faults are present. Increased seismic activity could also occur in the Carpathian region, especially near the Vranțea zone of Romania, known for producing deep earthquakes that have historically impacted much of Eastern Europe, from Poland to Ukraine. In essence, a major earthquake in Turkey could act as a catalyst, activating neighboring tectonic systems across Europe. Over the long term, this might result in greater seismic instability throughout the Mediterranean belt, from Crete to southern Italy, a region shaped by the northward push of the African plate beneath Eurasia. While the immediate threat of catastrophic destruction in continental Europe might be lower, the potential economic and humanitarian consequences could be profound, underscoring the interconnected nature of regional seismic activity. Imagine a scenario in which a massive wave of migration unfolds, with millions of refugees streaming into Europe from ravaged regions. Such a crisis becomes a tangible possibility if a devastating earthquake strikes the Turkish coast, a realistic outcome given the region's seismic activity. Experts are already analyzing various potential scenarios and developing response strategies to address such an emergency. Turkey remains a critical seismic hotspot, bridging Asia and Europe. Any significant quake there would be far from a local disaster. Instead, it would trigger a regional tectonic upheaval capable of impacting tens of millions across neighboring areas. While Europe might not be at the earthquake's epicenter, it would certainly bear the ripple effects. Today, the Eastern Mediterranean stands out as a vital indicator of the broader tectonic stability of the Eurasian continent. This is the complete picture,